Yo, what's good, y'all? Vander here. I'm about to show you how we just made $64,525 in just 13 days off of one singular webinar. I'm going to show you every single piece of this funnel and how we break it down step by step. This has taken me close to $20,000 in consulting and over a year of mistakes and experience to perfect. And I'm packaging all of those lessons into this one video for you. So if you're a coach, creator, or consultant and want to make $65,000 off of one 2-hour live stream, then definitely watch the rest of this video. Due to NDA, I can't say the creator or the niche I did this with, but here is the WAP dashboard. $64,525, 13 days, 25 successful payments at a 5K price point. So you might be asking, why webinars? You have to understand that trust is at an all-time low in the market right now. People are getting used to seeing these funnels, video sales letters, free trainings, all that kind of stuff. So spending 2 to 3 hours with your audience live, teaching them what you're an expert on and what they want to learn is the best way to generate trust with your audience right now. People don't mind setting aside a couple hours if they feel what you're going to teach is valuable and important, and if they feel like they're spending time with you. So I'm gonna break it down super simply for you guys. There's only 4 things you have to focus on: registrants, attendees, bookings, and cheddar, collecting cash. Registrants are people that say, yo, I'm gonna show up to your webinar. Attendees, people that actually do show up. Bookings are the people that you convert from the webinar or after the webinar. And then cheddar, collecting cash from those bookings and converting those into students or clients, whatever you're selling. For this webinar in particular, we had 351 registrants, and the funnel that we sent all our traffic to converted at 60%. So literally just copy what I'm about to show you. It'll rip for you. This funnel is super simple, but is super effective. So of course, first things first is you need to leverage your organic audience. We personally leveraged our Instagram and our free school community, which had about 3,000 members in it, but you can use YouTube, TikTok. If you have a Discord, use that. If you have a WhatsApp or Telegram channel, leverage that. And of course, leverage your email list and any phone numbers that you have in your existing CRM, use those as well. Like I said, we heavily used Instagram, and this is literally all we did for the marketing for the webinar. 3 story sequences. These are going to be the most effective in getting registrants for you, especially if you have a tapped in Instagram. They don't have to be crazy. Between 1 and 3 slides is all we did. We did one 6 days out from the webinar, 3 days out from the webinar, and then 1 day. Basically, all that was on those was just saying what the webinar is going to be about, the facts that we're having it, and why they should show up. You really don't have to overcomplicate these. If your audience is at all tapped in, these simple story sequences will be enough to get them to the landing page. As far as what pictures to use, just use any lifestyle content. Anything will really work as long as you're telling them and clearly communicating that you're having a live masterclass or a live class of some sort, and you should be good to go. We also did an email campaign in which we sent about 7 emails over the course of 7 days to our email list, which was only about 12,000 people. Once again, just clearly communicating that we're having a free class going over XYZ and that they should join because of XYZ. Super simple emails. And even with a small email list, they still converted pretty well. 3 days out from the webinar, we also did a text blast to everyone in our CRM, basically just communicating that we are having a masterclass and that they should join. As long as you're sending it to people such as people that you haven't gotten into contact with from applications or opt-ins, or people that didn't end up closing on closing calls, this will rip for you. In our school community, we did a poll 12 days out from the webinar, basically asking if we were to host something like this, would they join? They got a ton of likes and engagement. So then at 6 days out, we posted another post with the funnel link. We actually got a lot of registrants from this. The last thing you're gonna want to do is switch out all the links in your bios, Insta bio, TikTok bio, YouTube bio, all that stuff. Make it extremely easy for people to find your funnel page and tell them that you're having a class or a webinar of some sort. Now for the actual funnel, it's super simple. All you need is a simple landing page that creates urgency, clearly displays what will be presented on the webinar, and then a lead capture page where we can get their email, name, and phone number so that we can send all the pre-webinar assets to them, as well as our setters hitting them up after the actual event. From our organic audience, we generated 589 funnel visits, in which 351 turned into registrants at a 60% conversion rate. This is an extremely simple funnel that you can just honestly copy and paste. Headline, countdown timer to create urgency, big button for them to register, clearly display what will actually be on the webinar. And then we added a little meet the host section here just to introduce the 2 hosts of the actual webinar. And then at the bottom, once again, another button for them to go ahead and register. Like I said, for the lead capture page, all you need is the name, email, and phone number. That way we can send all of our pre-webinar assets to them and then hit them up later on. So once you have your registrants, you actually need them to show up. A lot of people mess this up and end up not having a lot of people actually attend their webinar, and then whatever you pitch on your webinar doesn't really matter if you don't have people there. We had about 41% of our registrants actually attend the webinar. The range where you want to be in is between 35 and 40%, honestly, and you'll be chilling. We had 148 people show up, and these are the only 3 things we really did to get people to show up. Most importantly is going to be your post-registration / thank you page on your funnel. This is the first thing someone sees after registering, so it needs to clearly display the steps and frame what the time will be like between them registering and the actual event. So here's the layout of the thank you page. Honestly, just go ahead and copy this. You're going to want a video that clearly frames what the next steps are going to be and explains what the checklist below is. As far as the checklist, you're going to have the first email that sends with the Zoom link. Make sure that they take this out of spam, they like it, whatever needs to happen, so that the rest of your emails before the webinar don't show up in spam or in promotions folder. They show up in their main inbox. Putting in a picture of the actual email will help a ton in getting them to actually do this. We also use a software called Add Event, which basically means if they press this button right here, it'll add the actual event to their Google Calendar or whatever calendar they use. That way it's saved and they're way more likely to show up if it's on the calendar they use every day. Then we have another channel apart from email and SMS for them to send reminders to. We use WhatsApp. Just throw a WhatsApp community together. It's actually a WhatsApp channel. You can use Telegram for this as well. Throw a button right here, leads them right to the channel. They join it. And now you have another place where you can send them reminders to the webinar so that they actually go ahead and do show up. The next thing you have to have absolutely dialed in are your emails and texts. These emails actually have to be value dense emails, not just reminders, or else people are just not going to open them. You're going to end up landing in spam and promotions, and you're going to set the wrong tone of what the actual webinar is going to be like as well. So value dense emails, what that means is that you're putting relatable, valuable, and engaging content in the actual copy of the emails, and you're sending relevant stuff to the actual niche you're talking about or what you said you're going to teach on the webinar. We send these out every single day from when someone registers up until the actual webinar date. And then of course on the day of the webinar, we do send 4 reminders, morning of, hour before, start time of the webinar, and then 10 minutes after. As far as text, you want to send one right after someone registers. That way the phone number that you're sending your reminders from is already kind of in their brain. When they get the reminders day of the webinar, they've already seen this phone number before, so they're not just like thinking it's a random phone number texting them. This first text also gives them the actual Zoom link. The timings in which we send these are morning of, hour before, start time, and then the best one that converts the best is going to be 10 minutes after. If someone's 1 minute late to something and they don't know that they can join later, they're honestly probably not going to show up. So if you had this 10-minute after text, this one converts extremely well for us. During the actual webinar, we see a ton of people join after we send this actual 10-minute after text. The copy in these is just hyping up the event and seeming like you're talking directly to them using whatever slang you use or whatever speaking style you use. That's how you want these texts to feel. Building out the actual funnel and scripting out all of these emails and texts can definitely take some time. I do have a growth partner agency that takes care of all this stuff for you. So if that's something you'd be interested in, check the top link in the description and we can figure out a time to talk. But once you do have your attendees, you need to convert them into bookings. Some people do direct to checkout, which basically means you sell the product on the webinar. We like to do bookings because we like to sell high ticket. If our product is $5K, it makes way more sense to get them on a sales call with a closer and then sell them then. But we use this webinar to get as many bookings as possible. But before you can even pitch, you need to actually retain people on the webinar. This is going to be called your retention rate, which basically means what amount of people that join the webinar at the start are actually around for the time of pitch. You want to be right around 70%. For this particular webinar, we were at 77.7%, which means 115 people were live at the pitch. So there's going to be 2 ways that you can do this effectively. One is going to be your webinar structure, and 2 is going to be doing some sort of giveaway or Q&A or giving them some sort of incentive to actually stick around to the end. As far as the structure, you're going to want an intro to business model, intro to you and the business model, the connection of how you've been able to be successful with it, and then you want to go straight into the value section. The best way to structure your value section is using steps. Steps 1, 2, 3. You can go all the way up to like 10 steps, for example. Just break down the business model or whatever you're teaching as simple as possible. Breaking it down into steps makes it extremely easy to retain, and people definitely stick around when they feel like there's another step coming so that they can take notes on it. It's just an easy way for people to learn, honestly. After the value section, you're going to do something called a transition, and then you're going to do the pitch. What the transition is basically you saying all the information I've given you in this call is useless if you don't take action on it, and then you present the opportunity to actually work directly with you or give them some sort of guidance to continue on with what they've been learning. I have Q&A down here because we use that sometimes as an incentive to get people to stick around to the end. Another good way to get people to stick around is of course going to be a giveaway. In the marketing for the actual webinar, as well as in the beginning, we tell them that we'll be doing a $500 cash giveaway at the end. The way to enter is you have to stick around to the end and send us a picture of the notes you've taken throughout the class, and then you can enter for the giveaway. Like I said, our retention rate was 77.7%, so this giveaway honestly works extremely well. If you're going to do any sort of a webinar, definitely do a giveaway, and your retention should be extremely solid. After you present your actual offer, you're going to drop some sort of link into the chat or on the webinar so that people can go ahead and book a call or buy your product. We drop in a simple page like this with their name, email, and phone number that sends them to a booking calendar in which they can book a call with our team to learn more about the mentorship. But the only way you're actually going to get people to book calls is if you have a solid offer. Your webinar offer has to be better than your normal offer. There have to be some sort of incentive so that they actually take action now and don't think they have another chance either on during the next webinar or just after the webinar ends. So the name of the game is creating urgency and scarcity live so they take action live. The best way to do this is through something called fast action bonuses, which basically means you add deliverables to your offer, but they're only valid if you take action on the live class. An example of this can be an additional onboarding call, possibly a done-for-you service, or add in additional resources that they get for taking action on the webinar. Using these 3 things, you're gonna have a decent amount of bookings from your webinar. We got 26 bookings at a 22.6% booking rate, but here's the part that most people mess up on. They think bookings just come from the live pitch and from the live class, but what you absolutely need if you wanna make as much money as possible with your webinar, you need absolute dog setters dialing every single attendee and every single registrant since they are already warm and booking as many of those into your calendar as possible. We ended up with 47 booked calls because of our setters, meaning that our booking rate went from 22% all the way up to 41%. So going off of that, everything I've mentioned up until this point doesn't mean anything unless you have a dialed in sales process. Most people think that webinars are all marketing, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Your sales team and sales process is equally as important as the marketing in your webinar. So when it comes to the actual sales process, first thing you need is dialed in reps. You need your boys moving like the 2025 Houston Texans defense. You need absolute dogs on the phone that are going to dial every single registrant. You need closers that actually know what they're doing to close deals that are coming from all the work you've put in up to this point. You need the proper automations, the proper reminders, and the proper assets to actually get people to show up to their sales calls and actually close. And I can't stress to you enough, if you don't have this dialed in, everything you've done up to this point, getting registrants, getting attendees, getting people to retain to the pitch of your webinar, it just doesn't matter. Our team was absolutely dialed in for this specific webinar, and that's the core reason why we were able to do so well with it. So the first step of dialing in your sales process is going to be confirming the calls that came from the live pitch. You want someone that's smooth on the phone and can actually show the value of what the sales call is going to be like. The point of confirming calls is to qualify them further and ensure they have intent and are actually going to show up to the closing call. You can book 30 calls off the webinar, but if 0 are confirmed, chances are most of them aren't going to show up, and also some of them might not be qualified and you're just wasting your closer's time at that point. Once your calls are confirmed and you have your setters booking more calls from all the registrants, they need to show up to their actual sales calls. We had a 74% show up rate on our webinar bookings, which means we had 33 chances to collect $5,000. So your show rate on these sales calls is going to be a huge factor in if you make money from your webinar or not. Something we use heavily is an automation right after someone books. Basically what it does is put the setter, closer, and lead in a blue message group chat that also sends pre-call assets such as pre-call videos and text reminders to properly frame the sales call and ensure they show up. Of course, right after they book, you're going to want a thank you page. Here's the thank you page we use for the webinar leads. Another video framing what the time between them booking and the actual sales call is going to be like. It also explains the pre-call checklist, sets the expectation that one of our setters will be calling them to confirm their call, and honestly, most importantly, make sure they watch the pre-call video. What our pre-call video is, it's between 10 and 15 minutes of explaining exactly what the offer is, why it's valuable, and framing the sales call and the conversation that they're going to have with our closers. The final step is, of course, your close rate. If they're coming from a webinar and they've watched the pre-call video, as long as they physically have the funds, they should close. This is honestly the warmest possible lead you can have. So your close rate should be extremely solid. We closed 14 different people on a 5K price point. The majority of those were PIFs. A few of them were split pays. Our average order value ended up being about $4,600. So that just goes to show how warm these leads are. People are ready to go. They're extremely warm. They've been through the entire sales process to this point, and they completely understand every single step of the business model and how your offer works. So once you have all of that, that's how you make $65,000 in 13 days off of one webinar. Like I said earlier, I do have a growth partner agency in which I take care of this entire system for you. I put my sales reps on your offer. We script out all the emails, we build all the funnels, we even build the webinar slides and pitch for you. So all that you have to do is show up on webinar day, hop on for a 2-hour live stream, and boom, we make $65,000 together. So if you want to talk more about what it would be like working with me and my team, top link of the description will be a calendar link. Book a time in there and write some notes in there for me so I can better understand you, your business, and your goals. But other than that, these are the 4 things you really have to focus on if you want to run a webinar funnel effectively. I appreciate y'all for watching, and we'll talk soon. Peace.